Hey guys, Nostalgic Dan One again here, back again with another new video for you guys, and today I'm back with my recent pickups for the month of November, covering everything I picked up in November. And I thought November was a really good month. There were a lot of anticipated releases for me, so what do you say we jump in? Okay, and the first game we have here is an absolutely gigantic release for the Wii U, just a huge release. I know a lot of people went out and bought a Wii U just so they could play this game. And it's a wonderful installment into a popular series, and it's just so much fun to play. And that is, of course, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U. Fantastic version. First of all, it is gorgeous. It is just absolutely stunning in HD. It's so pretty, just so colorful, and it's awesome to see some of these Nintendo characters for the first time in HD, and that's really awesome. The stages are awesome, huge variety in stages, and interesting gimmicks for all the stages. Characters, huge roster of characters. Gameplay wise, not much has changed, so it works very similar to a lot of other Smash Bros. Games. But so much content, there's so much content, like just to kind of run through them. You kind of have like this unique thing called the Master Hand Challenges, where you can go in and spend coins to do these randomly generated challenges to unlock tons of rewards, from like customable equipment to customizable stuff for your Mii characters. Tons and tons of stuff to unlock there, and it's kind of fun, interesting, randomly generated thing. I'm a huge fan of the Smash Tour mode, which is exclusive to the Wii U version. And Smash Tour is pretty awesome because it takes Smash Bros. And the formula of it and mixes it into like a Mario Party style game. So you go around this kind of board game with your Miis, and you collect items to power yourself up and power up your stats. You collect fighters, and you can use different items to affect the kind of change of the game. And it's just really interesting, and you battle along the way, and it kind of culminates in this huge epic end battle with all your fighters and all your final stats and whatnot. It's just a blast to play, and it has that unpredictable nature of Mario Party. There's event challenges where you can go through various events and fight like unique events with unique characters and stuff like that. That's pretty fun too. Of course, it's got the stadium, the multi-man brawls, the home run derbies, target smash. And there's so much more. Like there's like, I'm barely like skimming it. There's also a stage creator in here. There's a stage creator in Brawl, but it's kind of weak in comparison to what's in here. The stage creator is like really well thought out, and I've made some pretty fun stages, which is a blast. Like it's just a fantastic game, fantastic version of Smash Bros. And one of the most definitive and just robust versions of Smash Bros. There is, and just an awesome game for the Wii U, so I'm having a blast with it. And next is a highly anticipated 3DS release for me, because I'm a huge fan of the series, and I wanted it ever since Atlas held the Persona event back in the day, where they announced Persona 5, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, in this game here. And it's certainly a spin-off game, and I think that's one of the most important things to take into account with this game, is that it's a spin-off game. It's not meant to reflect the games that it's inspired by, and obviously it takes the characters from. It's a spin-off game, it's an Etrian Odyssey spin-off game, and I would say don't hold it up to the same kind of quality standards of Persona 3 and Persona 4. I see a lot of people doing that, and that's kind of not right, because it's a spin-off game, just like Persona 4 Dancing All Night's a spin-off, and Persona 4 Arena's a spin-off. But for what it is, it's a lot of fun, and that's Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth for the 3DS. This is the Wild Cards Premium Edition. I did an unboxing for this, so you can go back and check out that if you're interested in the contents. But like I said, Persona Q is a spin-off game. It's a first-person dungeon crawler, Etrian Odyssey style spin-off game. It takes all the gameplay from like Etrian Odyssey and mixes it in with the kind of Persona scheme. And Persona Q kind of involves taking together Persona 3 and Persona 4 and the kind of realms and characters from those two respective games and combining them into this like new situation with two new characters, Zen and Rei. And I do really like the new characters as well. And story-wise, it's nothing too special. Like, that's one of the things. It leans more towards fan service more than anything else, and I think the fan service that's in here is done really well. And it's really cool to see the interaction between all these characters for the first time, and some of these characters and how they interact is really cool. Gameplay-wise, it's really good. Very reminiscent of Etrian Odyssey. You map out on the bottom touchscreen your maps as you go through this first-person dungeon crawler and these maze-like labyrinths and all that. I cleared the first labyrinth, so I'm moving on to like the rest of the labyrinths. I'll say definitely stick with it through the first labyrinth, because there's a huge twist that happens at the end of the first labyrinth, and the game really opens up since then. But a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it. I also think this game in particular also has more depth than Etrian Odyssey, because the sub-persona mechanic and the boosting mechanic isn't really in there in the Etrian Odyssey games. They tried to introduce like unique things to kind of make the gameplay more dynamic, but This has a lot more depth than any Etrian Odyssey game I played so far, and I've played a lot of them. And next is a highly anticipated PS Vita release for me because I'm a huge fan of the series, and I wanted ever since Bandai Namco confirmed they were going to be bringing this game out. And I feel really spoiled as a Tales of fan because we got 2 wonderful games in 1 year, and that's pretty awesome. And this is a really great Tales of game, even though it won't become one of your favorite Tales of games. I definitely think it's still a really great Tales of game and really enjoyable. And that's Tales of Hearts R. I'm nearing the end of Tales of Hearts R. I put in about 35 plus hours around there, and I'm nearing the end of the game. But I really like Tales of Hearts. It's an interesting game for what it is, and it has a really interesting story really early on. Gameplay wise, very traditional to other Tales of games. You know what to expect. You go to different towns and dungeons, and you have random encounters. There's a huge overworld map and huge maps to explore. It's a huge world to explore, and it's very traditional in that kind of sense. But story wise, I think the story is really interesting, particularly in the first part of the game. So it stars this main character named Core, and he stumbles upon this girl named Kohaku one day, and he goes into Spirit Link with Kohaku, and there's a situation that happens where Kohaku's Spirit Core, which Spirit Cores is basically the equivalent to your heart. It's what controls your emotions in the game. Everyone has a Spirit Core in the game, and it controls your emotions and makes you who you are as a person. So he goes into Spirit Link, a situation happens, and her Spirit Core essentially gets broken into tons of little shards and gets spread across the land. And as a result, Kohaku winds up being this kind of empty shell of a girl. And you go through and explore the land because you're so committed to this girl and you care for her so much that you want to essentially repair her broken heart. And I thought that was really interesting because every time you got a new shard, she would react differently when she got like fear, sadness, happiness, and you start to see this evolution of Kohaku as a character as she transforms from the kind of empty vessel she once was to the full happy girl she actually is. And that's really cool, and I thought that was really interesting. But that's kind of the first half of the story. Like once you get Kohaku back to normal, the game kind of opens up into this like bigger, grandiose story, which is a bit cliche, and I honestly think the later part of the story is weaker in comparison to the first part, just because I thought the first part of repairing this girl's broken heart was just so interesting. I thought the concept of spirits in general I thought was really interesting in this game, and that was really well done. So I really dug the story in the early part of it, and it does get a little bit weaker towards the end, even though it gets bigger. I know it sounds kind of odd, but it's how I felt. But I thought it was a really great game from what I played. It's a great Tales of game, especially for a handheld version. It's just really awesome to have this kind of love again for the Tales of series, and I can't wait for the rest of the Tales of games to come out. Next was a highly anticipated PS Vita release for me. I wanted it ever since I heard about it way back when, and I thought, man, it really had a unique premise and a really interesting story, and it certainly does. Honestly, one of my new favorite Vita games and one of my favorite games this year, because the way this game in particular addresses this fundamental concept of player control within a video game is just so interesting, and you pair that with a really great, really well thought out Monster Hunter style game, and it's a really interesting game. That is of course Freedom Wars. This is a Monster Hunter style game where it's broken down and accepting various quests and doing these really long drawn out battles, these epic battles in these kind of smaller consolidated environments, and rinse and repeat, and taking on new quests, and the quests kind of mix it up sometimes. It's not always about the objective of each quest is very different. But it's a really interesting game, and I think the most interesting part of this game is simply the premise. The premise is just so interesting, and what I mean by that is it takes place in this dystopian world where what they call panopticons are these small societies competing for valuable resources and citizens, and they're doing battle against each other with what they call sinners, because there's sinners in the world, and they're labeled as sinners. And sinners are people who have been viewed as like a detriment to their society. You get dropped in here as a player, as a character who has amnesia, and you are a sinner. You get labeled as a sinner, and you get slapped with this really nice 1,000,000 year sentence of servitude. And every sinner has a sentence of servitude that you're trying to work off. And how you work that off is every time you do quests, every time you donate materials to the greater good, you're slowly knocking off years off of your sentence. And the main objective is to eventually get freedom. But hence the name Freedom Wars. What's interesting, and going back to the part with player control, is what you take for granted sometimes as a gamer, like simple stuff like being able to run around as much as you want, being able to talk to anyone you want, being able to keep whatever resources you get. That's all kind of questioned in this game because you have to earn it. Everything's an entitlement, as they call it in this game. You have to earn the freedom to be able to run for longer than 5 seconds. You have to earn the freedom to be able to lay down in your prison cell or talk to certain people or be able to keep certain resources. And all those are called entitlements, and you get those with entitlement points. And you essentially, as you're going through, you unlock these basic freedoms in a way. You're trying to get your freedom back at the same time by claiming new entitlements. And I thought that was just so interesting. I think the world is just so interesting with the sinners and walking around the Panopticon and seeing all these various people with their sentences, because their sentences are shown above their head, and the sentences are above your head, and it shows how much time everyone has, and just seeing all the numbers and the interesting, like, how much they have left to serve. It was really interesting. Gameplay wise, really great. It's just the Monster Hunter style part of it was really well thought out, really fleshed out, a lot of fun. You have the Thorn mechanic where you can use the Thorn to kind of latch on to enemies or any materials or environmental stuff. Latch around, move around really fast, or drag down enemies and all that, because there's these big enemies called abductors which you fight, and these abductors are gigantic and it takes a while to fight them, but these abductors essentially try and kidnap citizens to bring to other Panopticons, because citizens are also a valuable resource within a dystopian world when you think about it. So that's really interesting. There's various types of thorns, like a binding thorn, healing thorn, and a shield thorn. And there's various weapons to use, ranging from like light and heavy melee to like light and heavy artillery and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, a really interesting game with just a really interesting premise that addresses this concept of player control, and just a very well crafted game, and it's a stunning game. And that is, of course, Freedom Wars. Next is a music rhythm game for the Vita that's also available on the PS3, but I decided to pick it up on the Vita because I love my music rhythm games on handhelds. But it's from a hugely popular music rhythm game series by Sega in Japan, and I'm really happy they decided to take a chance on this series in the West. And it stars a hugely popular character, Vocaloid character named Hatsune Miku. So obviously I had to pick up Hatsune Miku Project Diva F second, because I've actually really enjoyed the Hatsune Miku games. They're a lot of fun, really basic style music rhythm games, but just really high quality. I love a lot of music in here. The music is more like J-pop, J-rock kind of stuff. It has English subtitles though, so you can like understand those songs themselves. But the way the gameplay works, it's very basic. It's all about timing these button presses and hitting these notes that correspond to X, circle, triangle, square, and you time those and hit those at the right time. There's also notes you have to hold. There's star notes, which on the Vita version you have to swipe on the touchscreen to hit. But a huge roster of tracks. There's about like 40 tracks on here. Tons of unlockables for like costumes and accessories for all the characters. And it's got some extra modes in here, like an edit mode where it's like this really in-depth creation tool where you can kind of make your own music videos using like existing content in the game. There's also a diva room where you can, this sounds kind of weird, but you can like spy in on like all the individual characters who are in their rooms and they're doing like random stuff. And sometimes you can like interact with them, touch them on the touchscreen, play mini games like rock, paper, scissors, patty cake and stuff like that. It uses all the features of the Vita in unique ways. You can give them gifts and decorate their rooms and whatnot. It's just a fun little extra mode that's in there. But really high quality music rhythm games, very approachable for beginners because there's various difficulty settings ranging from like easy to hard and stuff like that. But really fun, and I'm really happy Sega decided to take a chance on this series. And I also think Hatsune Miku in general is this kind of reflects an interesting difference in like culture and society compared to like Japan and the rest of the world. So I think Hatsune Miku in general is really interesting, but I absolutely dig the series, and this is a great game, so Hatsune Miku. And finally, what do you say we wrap it up with a handful of RPGs I picked up that I wanted to add to the collection but haven't played yet. The first one we have is a DS RPG, and I want to pick it up because it's one of the cheaper DS RPGs you can find out there. The series started on the GBA, and honestly some of the best versions are the GBA ones, but I know this one isn't looked at as like one of the favorites in the series, but I still think it doesn't take away from the fact that it looks like a really high quality traditional kind of RPG. And that's Golden Sun Dark Dawn. So I want to pick that up because it's an RPG you can find it on DS for cheaper, and I'm really trying to power through the DS library and get all the RPGs I want before they go up in price, because a lot of DS RPGs, if you look at it, compared to the past couple of years, have been shooting up in price. So I'm trying to kind of hone in. I already have a lot of RPGs on DS, but I want like all the other ones that I want. So the next is a PS1 RPG, and I've always wanted to play this version, although it's available on the PSP as well. But I'm actually a huge fan of the series, and I'm a little disheartened that Square Enix is kind of abandoned in a way a lot of the series that they started and established on the PS1, because if you look at the PS1 from Square Enix, and some of them were separate, Enix, Squaresoft, they had a lot of great unique series that they established there, but have kind of disappeared because of the popularity of stuff like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, that they keep pushing out those, but kind of abandoning the rest of the other great RPG series they had. And this is one series I absolutely love from them, and it did have a modern version, but I enjoyed the modern version, but I think the odds of getting a sequel, another one in the series, is very slim. But I am talking about Star Ocean. So this is Star Ocean, the second story on the PlayStation 1. Really happy to pick this up. Like I mentioned, I haven't played this version. I'm just a huge Star Ocean fan. I really love the games. I love the battle system, the comparison to like almost Tales of, in a way the battle system is very reminiscent. And just I love the blend of like sci-fi with kind of high fantasy and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for like sci-fi style RPGs, so really happy to get this, and that's Star Ocean, the second story. Next we have a PS2 RPG that I've been wanting for a while, and it's published by Atlas. It's a first-person dungeon crawler, and like I mentioned many times before, I'm a huge fan of first-person dungeon crawlers. And this is from, honestly, what should be considered as one of the godfathers for the genre of first-person dungeon crawlers. This is an RPG series that dates way back, as far back as stuff like Dungeons & Dragons. This is one of the older RPG series out there. But this PS2 version in particular always looks so interesting to me. I love the art style and the aesthetic of it. But I'm of course talking about Wizardry, Tale of the Forsaken Land on the PS2. And like I mentioned before, Wizardry is honestly, as a series, is the godfather for the genre we now call first-person dungeon crawlers. So this is a first-person dungeon crawler, but I love the aesthetics of this version in particular. It's got like a dark, kind of gritty aesthetic. I love the character design, enemy design. So I'm really hoping to kind of delve into this sometime, but really happy to pick up Wizardry, Tale of the Forsaken. And that'll pretty much do it for my recent pickups for the month of November. As always, feel free to share with me what you guys have been playing or what you guys picked up recently. I'm always interested in hearing that and getting that kind of conversation going. But I hope you enjoyed this pickups, and there will be a pickups for December, but the caveat to that is it's probably going to be a really short recent pickups for December because I'm trying to save up for a new computer, which I desperately need for everyday use, and in particular video editing, because I want to be able to have a less painful experience when trying to do the kind of video editing I want to do. But as always, thank you guys for watching so much, and until next time, take it easy guys. Bye.